Chapter 1, A Hill Spire Favor. Lungs burning, Mary Oliva splashed into the shallow stream. 3 strides, 4, then up the other bank behind a tree. Pulling on a root to speed her exit, she winced at the rib pain but didn't slow. Keeping the tree between her and the imp who'd bruised her with a club, she sprinted harder. Dodging a noisy pile of leaves, she slipped through quieter ferns, held her breath, and listened for pursuit. A whistling arrow sped past, but not from behind her. A second imp archer pursued her from her left, intent on reclaiming what Mary had pilfered. Mary wouldn't let that happen. She had a job to do. She felt too hungry to go unpaid. Her boots were worn, her shield was good for only 2 or 3 more blows, and she had nowhere to sleep but a leaky lean-to. Legs aching, she weighed her choices. She could turn and charge the archer, risking the other 2 imps overtaking her. Or she could drop her nearly ruined shield and exhaust herself in a final flight to the cliffs. Our first guest path chooser is Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger, former governor of California, and something about a big sword. Our choices are these. Should Mary raise her shield and rush the archer, or can her shield best serve her as jetsam to molder in the forest while she runs unhindered?
That is an easy decision. Shields are for pansies. She should never have had one in the first place.
Thank you, Mr. Schwarzenegger. Dropping the shield it is. Mary's boot gouged the forest floor as she charged in the direction of the last assault. Her jade eyes just breaking the rim of her shield, she kept the next arrow from striking her throat. Resisting the urge to glance at the quivering shaft, she saw a flash of sickly pale flesh, partly veiled with fawn hide, 2 black eyes which quickly vanished and leaves left shuddering in their branches. Rounding a tree, Mary saw the imp archer fleeing, glancing back more frequently as she closed. When it looked away, she risked a quick scan of the forest, not seeing any movement from the other 2 imps. The imp turned suddenly, judging well Mary's distance. It sent 2 feathered shafts hurtling at her before she crashed into the imp with her shield. Our first guest die roller is Captain Han Solo. Sure, I can roll your dice for you. I can make +5 past difficulty class. Nicely rolled. Mary beat the imps in 2 rounds, which is not as good as 12 parsecs. I didn't think so. Never tell me the odds. The imp archer crumpled on top of its bow. Mary crouched to clean her spear tip. The padding of more feet caused her to change her mind, and she sprinted again for the cliffs. With her hope of success growing, Mary's concern turned to the hill spire villagers awaiting her. Across the short sward of tan and blue-green grass, the only response was her own voice, echoing from the mottled gray peaks of stone. She hoped they had all hidden, but drawing nearer, she saw several villagers stand from the tall grass bearing short rabbit hunting bows and thin fishing spears. In her 3 days among them, Mary had never seen any in Hillspire use weapons, and she feared for them against a foe. As she watched, she knew an imp had cleared the forest, as villager spears came up and knocked arrows rested against cheeks. Now, she bore fear for her own safety. None would intend to shoot her, but Mary doubted their skills. Our next guest path chooser is from Lothlorien. Should Mary dive into the grass to avoid the villager missiles, or hurry to stand with them in battle? Mary should honor that allegiance. She should stand and fight with the villagers once more. The villagers with spears ran forward a few steps and hurled them. Bowstrings hummed as they loosed arrows. Mary slowed, fearing she'd made the wrong choice. Spears were going to fall short of the mark. She leapt to the side to avoid an errant weapon. Next up for our guest dice rollers, Mr. Oogie Boogie.
Whoa, that was not good.
Eyeing a poorly thrown spear arcing toward her, Mary stepped to the side, but her boot caught on a rock and she went down. With no time to move, she watched the spear strike the top of her boot, piercing leather and skin. She winced in pain. Frank, okay, that guy's disgusting, and he tried to kill Mary. Can we... After a deep breath to calm her, Mary gave a sharp tug on the spear to pull it from her leg. She stood gingerly, the pain and bleeding getting worse, but she could still stand. The imps rushed at her, and with pleasure she saw the village archers make a few hits. Hefting her spear, she thrust it at the club-wielding imp. And now it is time for another guest What? The Light of Elendil? Everyone, it's the ghost of Gary Gygax here to see how Miri does with the die rolls. Mr. Gygax, thank you for coming. It is a pleasure. You have done so much to help us create so many wonderful stories. It's almost as if the products of your imagination became the products of our imagination.
Well, boo. Just a bit of Midwest hospitality, Mr. Dawson. Now this die roll.
Here he goes with the rolling. That is some die roll. It appears Miri has slain all the imps with one spear thrust. Mr. Gygax, are you using some kind of undead telekinesis or something?
Sorry, the answer to that rests behind the great DM screen in the sky. Not the answer you wanted.
Well, it's not you. It's me. I failed my persuasion roll.
Farewell.
In farewell, may whatever plane to which you have ascended bring you peace. Thank you, sir. Whew. Still can't see.